Hey, what is up, Patreon? It is Rich. Alright, welcome to a video. So, I had an interesting idea just a few minutes ago when I was drawing, and I thought what I would do is share it with you because it's kind of a profound thought, but I think it will actually be very helpful for people. And it's kind of one of those, it's so obvious that it's not obvious, but it'll definitely help you traverse the waters of what I'm going to explain. So, when you sit down to draw, there's a couple of things that can happen. You can be drawing for a specific reason, which most of the times I think when we sit down we feel like we are, or you could be sitting down drawing to explore. And there's a big difference between the two. And what I want to make sure is that when you sit down to explore or you sit down to draw, that you don't check out too fast. And I'll explain why that this could be an issue for people. And in fact, I'm nearly sure that it would be. So when I'm designing things for Crystal Planet or for Blaster Kid, so I'm working on Blaster Kid right now, but I also am kind of starting to mentally prepare for the second book of Crystal Planet, just because at some point I'm gonna have to start it. And as the book progresses and as Blaster Kid gets further in the script, you meet more characters and you have to draw more things that maybe you're not as familiar with. And when you sit down to quote unquote draw and not explore, you can get frustrated a lot faster. So, this is where I'm going to differentiate the two ideas. If I'm sitting down to draw stuff that I don't know what it looks like, and I don't know who the character is, and I don't know what it's supposed to look like, and literally it could be every square inch of the character in a weird way, and I'm not overthinking it when I say this to you, but if you are drawing superhero and say you've never seen Batman doesn't exist, in a way you really do kind of need to know from head to toe what this person is wearing. Because if you feel like you're going to be drawing them for a while, eventually you're going to have to draw their boot, and you may even have to draw the bottom of their boot, or they turn around and all of a sudden you're seeing their back belt and what's on the back belt. And so just remember, if you're drawing stuff that you've never drawn before, really what you're doing is you're exploring. And exploring has no rules and no limits to it. And also, I want to make sure that you don't stop too soon. Explore. It's a weird coincidence because I had posted a bunch of headshots on Instagram a day or two ago, and I'm designing a character for Blaster Kid that I had never really fully kind of visualized, and I really didn't know what he was going to look like. I had sort of like a basic idea of what I thought he might look like, but what I ultimately found really quickly is it was a little too generic for my taste, and I was kind of judging him on a few different criteria that are just personal opinions on what I think he should be, represent, and visually sort of the impact of him should be, and also the circumstances. But it is interesting because circumstances and sort of what might be logical or practical, and I don't mean practical in a practical sense, but just it's like if you went like, well, it's they are in this situation and they wouldn't have this. Ultimately you do want to sort of take that into consideration, but ultimately also you are trying to draw something cool. So it's got to fall into that. And for me, there needs to be some sense of originality from it. And if things are getting a little too generic or a little too predictable, I do try to come up with something that's beyond that. Because, regardless of what you draw in 2021, someone will be able to compare it to something. I mean, I used to hate when people go, everything's been drawn before. But look, I mean, with especially with all the concept art that's out there, pretty much any iteration of things has probably been explored to some extent. Like, do butterfly wings fit on someone's head? Can you put them on their ears? Can you put them around their eyes? I mean, it's a ridiculous concept, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, if someone needs to draw 100 monsters, odds are they've probably touched on something that's going to be similar to monster that you might draw. And if it's cool looking, then odds are that even more people have stumbled upon that sort of combination of shapes that look cool. There's some stuff that just doesn't look cool. But anyway, but yeah, so remember when you're sitting down to draw, if you're drawing something that you don't know how to draw, you're actually exploring, and you should let yourself explore and not judge that work, and not uh, just explore. You can be critical of it afterwards. You explore for an hour, but you're not looking for results. You're looking for exploration. You're just digging around. You're going to deal with the pieces of what you've explored after you've explored. It's like being a gold miner. I've talked about my fascination with gold mining from YouTube. One day I went down the gold mining rabbit hole, and I found it really interesting. It's geology, it's about minerals, it's about earth, there's history involved. It's really actually quite interesting. And there's the treasure aspect of it, which is kind of fun. You dig in the right spot, you can hit pay dirt. And So anyway, but honestly, that's not a bad parallel to what happens when you explore with art. But now if you're drawing, to me, so the difference would be, okay, now I've come up with the things that I like. Now I'm trying to work it out. So there's maybe a connector between the two. You explore, you kind of develop it and sort of get it a little solid. You're memorizing it. Now you're drawing it. Now you can start to play with it and test it out and put it on the road. Does it work? Does it make sense if you have to draw it a lot? Is it manageable, or you don't care about that and you're just going to do it? But I thought that just pointing something like that out might be a unique idea that you've never heard in a drawing video before. Because like I said, I think one of the hugest obstacles that most artists face is not so much, well, it's the task of drawing, but it's the task of mentally not quitting. And it goes for anything. You guys all know I'm obsessed with guitar. The reason that most people don't get good at guitar is the same exact reason. It becomes challenging. You're dealing with the unknown. It's a bunch of things that you really don't have a grasp or handle on, and you get frustrated because you can't do it, so you quit. But the thing is like drawing, you need to explore, you need to test things out. You're kind of accumulating information. There was a really good interview last night with John Romita Jr., which is I think somewhat kind of rare. John Romita Jr. to me is he's not super active online, but on Graham Nolan's channel, they did about like an hour and 15-minute interview. The video goes a little longer, but John was there for about an hour and 15 minutes. And he said some really interesting stuff. He's not known to be like a blowaway illustrator as much as a really good storyteller. So that was interesting, and how he can let things go. And then he talked about like the growth curve with learning to draw, and he basically said, as long as you're drawing on a consistent basis, he doesn't say it exactly like this, but it's things that I've told you again and again and again. As long as you stick to a schedule and keep drawing, you actually will improve. And he says that in his own way. But kind of like, the great thing about art is that if you keep doing it, you get better and better at it. And that really is true. And the people that you see that start to regress generally have taken like a break. And if you take an extended break, it's even worse. And no matter how good you are, it just becomes maybe harder to get back into it. So I hope that helps in something a little bit different, and is encouraging for you, because that's really what I want to do, is encourage you to keep drawing. And anything that I can do to help you not draw, I will do. I've made a YouTube channel that basically hinges around that concept. So I think that that's an interesting distinction to make, and might actually be really helpful for someone. Because if you're sitting down and you're exploring and you're getting frustrated, you really don't need to be, because all you're doing is looking around. That's the whole point of it, is to not know what you're doing and to just try things. If you're drawing a character, try a skinny head. If you draw it a couple times and you go, oh, the skinny head really isn't working for me, then try a thick head. Try it longer or shorter. Try the eyes, more almond shaped. Try the eyes more round. Try them higher up. Try them closer together. You know what I mean? You're just poking around. Then, if you've explored for an hour, you'll have drawn for an hour, which is fantastic. You've actually sort of flexed your brain muscles and tried different things, which is giving you multiple things. One is experience. Two is sort of what would you call it, um an opinion. I've talked about how important that is, but the thing is the more that you test things on your own, the more you're going to have opinions on it, not based on sort of like the guy on YouTube that comments on videos and is like, this sucks. Sure, that's an opinion, but his or her opinion isn't really based on actually testing the grounds or the waters out there. So but yeah, that experience, and you just start to build kind of like your own language, and that's what's really, really exciting. So, all right, you have a great day. Like I said, I've got a bunch of drawing videos already recorded. So the one kind of back, shoulders, deltoids, tricep, biceps, a little bit of the chests and stuff video. It was so long, I didn't want to post the other one that's like about a 10 to 15 minute one that's kind of the same material, but I will upload that one because I said that I had two. And the one that I uploaded, the 40-minute one, was actually sort of my own rebuttal to my original one. But what I'm going to try to do next week is we're going to get into actually grounding figures, because I think it's a really important next part of the process. Is we learn all these pieces of anatomy and figure drawing and whether they're clothed or not. Ultimately, you need to start putting them in scenes, and that is actually challenging for people. And you've heard the term like having weight on figures and stuff like that. So we're going to explore that and really push that for a couple of weeks, because it's great to be able to draw, the pieces, but ultimately we're trying to put it into pictures and stories. So, okay, you have a great day. I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.